So, what kind of relationship is the avoidant actually looking for, right? What do they actually think? If you were to pin them down and to ask them, right, and you could have a real conversation where they weren't feeling judged or, you know, they weren't feeling like they were under the microscope. So, if they were honest with you, they were really honest with you, what they would actually tell you is, I want a relationship devoid of any substance, right? I want a relationship where I can come and go as I please. I want a relationship that never allows me to feel vulnerability or I have to be vulnerable in. I want a relationship that is one-sided, that doesn't require me to show up in any kind of emotional way, or have any real connection. I want someone who is always going to be happy, who's never going to need me, who is going to get all of my needs met while not having to show up for them ever. That is what they actually expect. And the reason that they expect that and think that, even though they'll never tell you this, is because the minute that you get close to them, they are activated, they're triggered, right? And that means and that comes from their past, that comes from childhood. And because of that, the minute that things get real, and of course, as I explain this, you're thinking, well, there's no such thing as a relationship like that. Bingo, right? And so when you get too close and then they get triggered and then they pull away, the reason why they keep going into new relationships is because they genuinely believe deep down that this relationship exists. And they think, well, this person just wasn't the right person. Because if it was the right person, then I wouldn't ever have any conflict. And I've literally heard avoidants say this. If it was the right person, there would never, ever be any conflict. It would always be easy and effortless. And that's just not true. So as an example of this, my parents have been married for going on 53 years. And if you come from a even semi-healthy, two-parent household, you will know as good as I do. And you've all seen the sitcoms, right? Where they argue and argue and argue, but they're always together at the end of the day, right? Because these two people, my parents in this situation, they have determined that this thing that we have going is worth all the compromise and all the capitulation. I'm going to love you at the end of the day, but I'm really upset with you, and you're upset with me, but we're going to work on this together until it's solved, right? That's how a real and realistic relationship should be. And avoidants don't believe that. They genuinely deep down believe that they've got to keep searching and keep looking, because if, this relationship doesn't work out, it's the other person's fault. The other person, and this is, this is one of the tactics that they employ so they don't have to, they don't have to be vulnerable. And so that's the reason why they develop this mindset. It's a strategy to keep them, quote unquote, safe. Right? Because if they don't have to feel anything, if they never have to experience bad feelings, then they don't have to have that shame wound activated, and they don't have to deal with the trauma of that feeling. They don't have to sit with that feeling because they don't know how to sit with it. So that said, I hope this gives you some insight into, what they actually think and believe and feel. Now, they may not articulate it that way, but they definitely think this, right? And again, I have had clients who have literally said some of these things. And then when I dig, they capitulate and say, yeah, well, and then they'll argue that, yeah, well, I wouldn't put it like that, but yeah, that's basically, spot on, but I don't like the way that's worded. So they get into semantics with me about it. Now, that said, if you are struggling in a relationship or post-breakup, which is my specialty, and you need help getting past this, moving on, understanding where the avoidant is, why they did what they did, you're just stuck, go ahead and book a call with me. Link is in the profile, and I will see you guys on the next video.